It's going to be hard for me to talk about a topic like this, so I apologize if I stutter or I mumble or I mess up on any of my words in advance. But 2021 lockdown was definitely the worst point of my life, and the only time where I have genuinely thought about, ending my life. And I told myself that I would give myself 3 months post lockdown, once we got out of it, to try to do something. And if I still felt that way, I would do it. In that lockdown period, I got addicted to porn. I lost a lot of my friends, and it was just such a big shift in my life where I just went from the active kid who, was out doing sports every single day, hanging out with his friends every day, to all of that being taken away from me. I couldn't hang out with any of my friends. I was sitting in my room watching porn a lot of the time. I wasn't keeping on top of my schoolwork anymore, and I got sick of it. They kept extending the lockdown period in that time as well, and I eventually got to a point where I remember thinking to myself, like, I can't take much of this anymore. And that is where the thought of, ending it came to my mind. But I promised myself that I would give myself a bit of time. I would stick it out until at least the end of lockdown, and then I'd get into the gym and I'll just try change my life around once lockdown finished. If I couldn't do that in a few months, then I was free to do as I pleased. But then once the 2021 lockdown finally ended, I remember getting out, and I remember it was a Monday. I went straight to the gym and got a gym membership, and I immediately fell in love with it. From day one, even me with my half range of motion bench form, horrible form on everything, I remember stepping into the gym with one of my friends, Breaky, and ever since then my life had been changed. It had felt like all those months of depression that I was experiencing when I was in lockdown, when I felt completely isolated from everyone and I had no one to talk to, it felt like all of that temporarily went away when I went into the gym. So I eventually became addicted to it. I started the gym to help my swimming, to make me a better swimmer and hopefully get me to, top level of Australia or Olympics one day. And a year through that, we go from November 2021 to October 2022. My passion for the gym eventually outgrew swimming so much to the point that I just stopped swimming entirely, just to fully focus on the gym. And it was the best decision I've ever made in my life. I remember my dad stopped talking to me for almost a whole month after I quit swimming. And in the moment I was like, well, why doesn't he just want me to do what I want to do? But I thought about all the sacrifices he made. And then this whole thought rewinded back to when I thought about ending my life. My parents made so much sacrifices for me in my upbringing. My dad worked so hard, and I really thought about ending my life after all the sacrifices all of these other people have made to get me to where I am in my life. I thought about ending mine, and I still remember to this day, it was when I was at one of my friend's house right after I quit swimming. I was staying at his house because I didn't want to talk to my dad and I didn't want to deal with my dad. And I just realized how selfish I was. And I apologized. I talked to my dad and I said, I'm sorry that your dreams for me were different to mine, but this is where my passion lies now. And I think he really needed that moment of clarity to almost feel a lot more comfortable, because he felt like I had quit swimming out of nowhere, whereas swimming took me to the lowest point of my life and the gym took me out of that. And the thought was in my mind for so long for me to stop swimming, and, pursue the gym for the rest of my life. And it just came as a shock to him because he did not see it coming at all. But I still remember to this day, that night I was thinking, after I quit swimming, how selfish I felt in that moment. Like, I was thinking of, ending my life just because I was going through a small phase of my life where things just weren't working out. But after I quit swimming and I got into the gym, it made me realize how easy my life actually was. Because for me to get into this depressive state where I want to end my life in COVID lockdown, just because I can't hang out with my friends and I've gotten addicted to porn. Some people live life 10 times worse than that, is all I could tell myself. And you were thinking of ending it over that. And it just looped back for me to think of how privileged of an upbringing I've had for this small moment to be the lowest point of my life. But the gym and getting into the gym, I still remember from the first day I walked into a gym, I just fell in love with it straight away. And it was almost like I'd never been struggling with any mental health in the first place. And it felt like this was where I was meant to be. Fast track, a year after that, I benched 140 kilos at 14. I benched 4 plates when I was 15, and I was the strongest 15-year-old in the world. And then, I eventually became the strongest 16-year-old in the world, if not the strongest 16-year-old in history. So, maybe you are depressed watching this video. Maybe you're kind of misguided with your life, and maybe you're thinking of making it come to an end. But just promise me you'll give yourself 3 months where you actually decide to try to improve your life. Start hitting the gym. Start actually, getting better sleep. Don't stay up late at night. Start waking up earlier, going to the gym, caring about your health. Give yourself 3 months of that. And if you don't feel better, then, I can't tell you what to do. I'm not going to tell you to do anything, but just allowing myself to actually get into the gym and care about my health again coming out of lockdown really allowed me to change my life. And maybe you are depressed watching this. I mean, I obviously hope you're not, bro. But maybe you are depressed watching this. And if you are, I hope you look at my story, where in 2021, I was genuinely considering ending my life. And in 2025, I have accomplished more than I ever would have dreamed of. That's how quickly you can turn your life around. And I hope you understand that. Don't even give me a year. Don't even give me a month. Just promise me you'll show up today. Promise me you'll show up tomorrow. And take it day by day. Give yourself 3 months of self-improvement if you are feeling depressed. Actually put effort into your physical health, your mental well-being, and just spend time with your loved ones. They don't want to see you go, man. They've sacrificed so much so you could be in this position in your life. Don't let it go to waste now. And that is what I would tell my younger self if I could have a conversation with him right now. Because he was going to let it all go just because he felt lonely and he felt isolated from everyone and he felt like he had no one to talk to. You always have people to talk to. You're never alone. And if you are depressed, I hope that I can just show you through my story and my upcoming and my come up through everything that you can change your life so quickly. Once I discovered the gym, I was able to change my life in the span of 3 years. I went from wanting to kill myself to accomplishing more than I ever could have dreamed of. And we all have that potential. It's just whether we choose to use it or not. So if I could go back and tell 13-year-old me who's in his room watching porn, wanting to end his life, if I could tell him anything, I'll just tell him to persevere. Just try stick it through for another day. Just try improve by a little bit today. And eventually you'll start feeling better. I promise you that. All I ever wanted was for my story to inspire people. So I hope this inspires someone watching this video, and I hope you all have a good day. God bless.